with our overview, and we're going to get the meeting started now. I do see a few more people still joining us, but Jim, can I ask you to go through our how using mute and etc. tip for today?
Sure. So when we start the actual meeting, I'm recording it, but we're going to ask everybody to mute themselves, because what happens is we get quite a bit of background noise. You can ask questions. The best way to ask the question is through the chat room on the bottom. If you look at the bottom of your screen, on the where the controls are on the left hand side, you'll see a microphone. If you click on that, you'll mute and unmute. If you want to shut off your video, there's a video icon there as well. Just click on that, it shuts it off. Click on it again, turns it back on. And then the chat function, if you click on that, you'll see it'll pull up the Zoom group chat. And I'll be watching that group chat and forwarding any questions or comments to Tracey. Over to you, Tracey.
Wonderful, Jim. Thank you so much from District Governor-elect Jim Ferguson. It is an honor to come together today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We are currently at 38 members are joining us, and as I mentioned, we had 44 members that were registered earlier today. We're in a new norm, and our new norm is meeting as we are today online. As all of us are facing this pandemic, we are working through the new development of life, isolation, how we are also reflecting as Rotarians, and how we are managing as individuals. One of the areas that I continuously talk to the presidents and the area governors on is that it's really important we create social cohesion. And that's what today is about, the opportunity for all of us throughout our district to connect, get together, have some conversations. So I hope you have your coffee. Today is a coffee meeting, so hopefully you have your coffee available. We are scheduled to go from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So make sure because I know we recognize we have people from all over our district and also as well from the US. And today I'm honored. We have a special guest that's joined us. And what I appreciate about Rotary is we all know when someone makes an ask, people always say, yes, how can I help? And I reached out to Rotary International Director Jeffry Cadorette to say, we're hosting our first coffee meeting with our members. Would you be interested, and do you have the opportunity to join us? And as Jeffrey always does, he never says no. If his time allows, he would definitely come on board and be part of us. So Jeffrey, it's an honor to welcome you to District 5370. Now, District 5370 is a very large geographical area. We cover Northern Alberta, part of Saskatchewan, part of British Columbia, into the Northwest Territories and the Yukon. And I see from today we have members that are representing from just about every corner of our district. So you have the opportunity today to share yourself with some amazing Rotarians that are hard at work and that are really interested to get to know you a little bit. So good morning. As you have your cough, I see your, yeah.
Yeah, good morning. It's lunchtime. Happy good afternoon from Philadelphia.
Well, Jeffrey, some of the visitors that are on with us today, they haven't met you before. So you say Philadelphia is home. So tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a bit about your family.
Thank you, Tracy, and hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Hello, Hans. Hans, wave if you can help me. And whoever's chewing marbles, stop. Anyway, I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 1974 and never left the Philadelphia area. I live just outside of Philadelphia in Media, Pennsylvania. My kids are now all grown, Jessica, Jacqueline, and Joshua. The fact that they're all have J's in front of their name was totally an accident. And they are gainfully employed, thank goodness, still, and launched. Jessica is a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. and in Harrisburg, PA for environmental issues. Jackie is a full-time writer, content writer, senior content producer for radio.com. She's in Portland, Oregon. And Joshua graduated from college last year. He works for Deloitte on government contracts. He's busy right now in our country. and he's in Alexandria, just outside of Washington, D.C. So that's a bit about me. I am a physical therapist by profession. Sold my physical therapy practice 22 years ago, and now I'm a commercial real estate broker with a family-owned real estate company here in Pennsylvania.
Well, Jeffrey, thank you for sharing. I can imagine right now that it's a bit difficult connecting with your family close to close, face to face, but I know you and I have been using Zoom a lot. There's days we're on 2 or 3 meetings together via Zoom, and I'm sure you're using Zoom to connect with your family too as well, and other means best as possible.
Every Sunday at 2 o'clock, my 3 sisters, Joanne, Joyce, and Sherry, my older sister, twin sister, and younger sister, and all of our kids all get together via Zoom every Sunday at 2 o'clock now. So what's amazing about this, our president, Mark Maloney, and I were talking about this on a call a week and a half ago. We had 450 people on that call from around the world. And I was remarking that this is a silver lining for us. Nobody predicted or wanted this global pandemic. And yet, for an organization like ours that has been slow to embrace technology at the international level, at the district level, and at the club level, with the exception of e-clubs who've been doing this for 15 years and think we're like not really big early adopters, we have really come up to speed quickly. And I congratulate Tracey and your leadership team on this call and this initiative, because this is the silver lining for us. We will come out stronger on the other end of this because of this new technology. The way that we do Rotary in the world will change because of this pandemic. A lot of the things that we're now having to do online relative to training, I'm speaking at a couple of virtual district conferences coming up, that won't go away. And we'll figure out a new way to do Rotary. And I think it is the silver lining for us. I think it's an opportunity for us. Mark Maloney, when he picked his theme of Rotary Connects the World, never anticipated this type of connection. And when Holger picked his theme of Rotary Opens Opportunities, he never thought of the opportunities that would come out of this. What I've been telling people is that we're all disappointed. Excuse me, I don't have COVID-19, I do have a head cold. We are all disappointed. When I sat in the boardroom in Evanston on the 18th floor at our world headquarters last October at our board meeting, I never knew that would be my last board meeting at world headquarters, because our April board meeting will be virtual. All of the governors, many of the presidents, all of us have had events and trainings and fundraisers and fellowship opportunities canceled. And we are all disappointed. And what I suggest to people is that we need to quickly pivot from disappointment to determination. Acknowledge the disappointment. It's real. Ingrid is on this call. Ingrid and I have been pen pals for a while because she was the chairman of our Beyond Borders dinner scheduled for Hawaii this June. We had 250 some odd people registered, and we had to cancel that event. And that was a disappointment to Ingrid. It was a disappointment to me. I was looking forward to hosting that event, but we need to quickly pivot from disappointment to determination. Determination to keep Rotary from going dark in North America, to keep the lights on, to find a new way to do Rotary, to find a new way to stay connected, so that Rotary, when we come out of this, is not just some semblance of the organization that we knew going into it. Thank you, Ingrid.
And so Jeffrey, you talk about the new Rotary, and you've talked about at the district, or pardon me, at the RI level, you're now moving meetings online. How else are you serving Rotary differently now than since the pandemic happened?
Well, 4 weeks ago, I was in Chicago at a committee meeting of the Shaping Rotary's Future Committee. I left there and went to Mexico to represent the president at the North American Youth Exchange Network annual conference in Monterrey, Mexico. That was 3.5 to 4 weeks ago. I was at a youth exchange conference and we weren't even talking about COVID-19. And yet we had kids deployed all over the world and kids here from all over the globe. And yet at that time, we were not even talking about COVID-19. So things have changed dramatically and quickly. We had our first ever virtual board meeting of the board of directors about 2 weeks ago on a platform called Kudo, K-U-D-O. Kudo allows for simultaneous interpretation because I don't understand Korean, Japanese, or Italian. And my colleagues on the board don't always understand my version of the English language. It was that board meeting that lasted for about 2 hours where we made the hard decision to cancel the convention in Hawaii. The board now actually has a WhatsApp group. If it weren't for my kids, I wouldn't even know what WhatsApp is. But WhatsApp is an app on my phone, and Mark Maloney and Holger and all of the board are connected on WhatsApp so that we can communicate with each other real time, minute by minute, day to day, as things come up, as questions come up, as challenges come up. How are we all dealing with them in our areas of the globe? So as we're getting ready for our first virtual board meeting at the end of April via Kudo, we are connected every day on WhatsApp. So my travel schedule from a month ago until the end of June was every week being somewhere, either in our zones or in North America or around the globe. My calendar is clear now. There is no travel. We have eliminated all staff and volunteer travel through the month of May. I expect that that will go through the month of June. But I'm on about 4 to 5 of these calls every day. So I'm actually busier now than I was then because of this technology. But what it has allowed us to do, it has allowed senior leaders, trustees, directors, to be connected with groups like yours that we really never would have had the opportunity to connect with. So it's a privilege to be able to do this. My challenge now is to try to keep all of my time zones straight, to try to make sure I have the right Zoom link at the right time for the right meeting and to know who I'm speaking with or having a conversation with. Back to you, Tracey.
So thank you so much for that, Jeffrey, and thank you for being available. And as you've mentioned, Zoom has become the platform that you're connected to very much daily and all day. We know that everyone from club levels, members themselves, districts, RI, we've all had to make some tough decisions. At our district, we've had to cancel our spring assembly and we've moved that online to an online program, an online training. We've instituted a risk response plan and committee at our district. We've also, our Riley and our RILA events have all been canceled, and we're right now working hard to ensure that our inbound students and our outbound youth exchange students are safe. Some are still in, we still have students here in Canada at our district, and we also still have 3 students that are abroad right now. And so we're all working really hard to build a new norm. And also still to ensure that we can manage appropriately based on the conditions of today. And every day we make decisions based on the knowledge we have. And every day knowledge changes because as we see with this pandemic, things are evolving and moving. So we know RI had to cancel the Hawaii convention and that was necessity. And I know there's some challenges around that of venues and RI imagine what's taking place within the RI. I think of all the areas of RI and things that need to be addressed in the supporting. How are they managing to the best possible right now based on the circumstances?
Great question. And you froze a couple of times, Tracy, but I think that I heard the gist of what you're asking. I have always been one who has thought that our staff, both in Evanston and our offices and the Secretariat around the world, are our partners in service. They don't work for us, they work with us. And I have the deepest appreciation for our staff. They are some of the most dedicated and committed individuals that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And I don't ever miss an opportunity to let them know that. I don't know, did Diana Edwards, one of our regional, is Diana the one that was going to join us on this call?
Diana had sent me a message that she was joining us. I'm not sure if she's here.
Yeah, I don't see her here.
No,
but
she's not here yet.
all of the Secretariat are working from home. And that decision was made early, and it was the right decision to make. Every day, I'm communicating with staff on various issues, whether it's an RI committee, or whether it's something that the board is considering, or whether it's connecting someone in our zones to the right person on staff to get the right question answered. But they're all working from home, and yet you would never know it. They are so responsive still. So from John Hugo, our CEO, to Michelle Berg, our Deputy General Secretary, Tom Thorfison, our Chief Strategy Officer, and I have a phone call later today. I'm going to tell you, Tracy, remind me to tell you about Volunteer Surge in case I forget. But we've all had to adapt. One of the questions that I get asked about 840 times a day, because that's the other thing that has happened. My email box is blowing up with questions. What do we do about this? What do you think about that? One of the questions I've been getting asked lately is RI going to suspend their dues during this time when there's such economic upheaval and who knows what that's going to do? I'm not sure if that's going to be on our agenda at the board meeting in Evanston or not. But what I will tell you is that we have not suspended our staff. We have not furloughed our staff. They are still all working very hard every day for you. And it's your dues to Rotary International that pays for that. 70% of our operating budget is from RI dues. So what I've been telling people is certainly districts and clubs locally have the opportunity to do whatever they feel is appropriate relative to dues. Right now, RI has not weighed in on our own dues from the international level. And as a board member, I'd have to think really hard about that because our staff is still all working very hard for you.
And Jeffrey, I have to say thank you to your staff because they have supported, as a governor, I can tell you they are supporting me immensely and supporting our district. And I'm one of 525 governors that they're supporting right now around the world. And I really appreciate the level of support that we're getting, the responses that we're getting. We ask a question and they're there for us. And so I really appreciate the work and the guidance that you, RI, and also the staff are providing to us. We're all in difficult times, and having that support is really helping to ensure that we feel confident as a district also as we go forward. So,
well, and Trace, I'll tell you, so another one of the things, my own district, I'm on my district's nominating committee for governor, for delegate to the nominating committee for director in Zone 32. And we are meeting again tonight virtually because we cannot interview people in person. So we're doing that virtually. On Thursday night, we will have our bi-weekly meeting of all of the district governors and all of the governors-elect from zones 24, now soon to be renumbered zone 28 and 32. That's new. We had our first meeting 2 weeks ago, but what I knew and what my successor, Valerie Wafer, knew was that in this new normal, that we needed to stay connected with Tracey and her colleagues and her successor and all of their successors. And so we set up this meeting with the help of DG Peter Schultz. And this week, Mark Maloney's going to join us. I asked Mark if he would come into our meeting, and he'll join us at the beginning to talk to everyone. Probably in a subsequent week, we'll have Holger join in. Challenging for Holger because 7 o'clock our time is about 2 in the morning, his time in Germany. So I have to convince him to take a nap that day. But all of that, I wouldn't even have predicted 4 weeks ago that we would be doing all of these online Zoom and other platform connections. I do believe it will make us stronger. I do believe that coming out of this, we will be a different organization. We will be more nimble. This is an innovation and an adaptation that we should have probably been there years ago, but we're here now. And I think it's going to make us a better organization.
So Jeffrey, you and I are working on a specific committee around that. And we are, excuse me, now I'm losing my voice, but in regards to our innovative club advocates, that's part of the work we're doing as a team with a variety of other members throughout our zone and also both zones. And you know, when we talk about how can we do things differently, this is our opportunity now to embrace different opportunities. From flexibility, there's questions around dues, what clubs are charging for dues. Here's opportunity to be flexible and create that new norm. And we know that the new norm is where we're going to. We're not going to go back to what we were because the whole world has shifted. And I'm really excited as I'm watching some of the innovation between clubs and different groups are saying, let's do things differently. Let's meet online, and we're doing socials, we're doing service works together, because this is what we can do for the norm of today. What excites you about the new norm of Rotary going forward?
Well, let me weigh in on the innovative club advocates. So the North American directors and directors-elect. Anyone know what our top challenge is in our organization globally, but especially in North America? Anyone know what our top challenge is today? Anybody?
Membership.
Keeping members.
Membership. And the first one that said membership, the prize for that is a Mercedes-Benz convertible. So just reach out to me after the meeting and we'll talk about that.
We will.
Membership. Yeah.
We sure will.
The scale model of a Mercedes-Benz convertible. Does anyone know for how many years we've been at 1.2 million members?
About 20.
23. And membership has been declining in North America, and that's a challenge. And so the North American directors and directors-elect got together, and my suggestion to them was, we need to be strategically aligned. We can't all be pulling in different directions. Of course, Mark Maloney's initiative this year is Grow Rotary, and Grow Rotary is not a membership campaign. It's about growing our membership, growing our foundation, growing our public awareness, growing the understanding of our organization. It's a multifaceted project that will go on for years to come. But part of it is, in fact, membership. And I'm on Mark's membership task force. We meet every month. Excuse me. And part of our challenge, part of our understanding was that we can no longer depend in North America on simply adding 2 to 3 members every year to our existing breakfast, lunch, and dinner clubs. Not that they haven't gotten us where they are. They are our foundation for the past 115 years. But clearly, in this day and age, and even before this pandemic, there are, we think, millions of people around the world, tens of thousands of people around North America who share our core values, share our ethic for service, would love to be connected with us and have no way to access us. They will never, ever be a member of your breakfast, lunch, or dinner club. They can't access you on the day you meet, at the time you meet, and especially for a younger generation, have no interest in a meeting with dues and pledging allegiance to some flag or singing. Wonderful for all of us that grew up with that. Not not at all attractive to them. So we need new access points. And we have new access points now. Passport clubs, e-clubs, corporate clubs, theme-based clubs, family clubs. And we're inventing new access points all the time. But what we needed were champions. So we designated, handpicked 20 people in North America, 2 from each zone, to be those champions. Tracey's one of them. And we brought them to Evanston in January, and we trained them and had conversation with them. And now they have been deployed. And those innovative club advocates are now available to Rotary coordinators, available to zones and districts to help us to invent, promote, and excuse me, charter these new access points, these new ways for people to engage with us, honoring our past, not giving up on our traditional clubs, supporting our traditional clubs, but retooling for the future as we try to do everything that we can to keep Rotary relevant in North America for the decades to come.
Jeffrey, thank you so much, and I'm really excited for what we're doing through our team of advocates, and some of the conversations that are coming up with some of the groups that I'm having discussions with is, so right now we're looking at what's new and opportunities for Rotary. What can we do differently around service? We recognize that service is critical. And so at our district, we've had some meetings where we've had some discussions around what we can do on helping to promote Rotary and show Rotary as the leader in the communities by doing handwritten cards. We've got some groups that are doing some sewing that for Days for Girls. We've got a variety of things that are going on. And we know that we all desire to have what we're doing today as fellowship, but we also desire to get our hands dirty and do more in service. And I see with what we're doing through our Innovative Club Advocates group, we're talking about this generally to a lot of groups, but there's still a lot of question around service. How can I do more? What are you hearing right now that people are doing that's out of the box and giving opportunities for others to still be really passionate about serving?
And by the way, can you hear me still? Okay, thanks. All kinds of things. In clubs in my district, many clubs have decided, because they're not paying for their weekly lunch or dinner or breakfast, to take that money and put it into a fund. In some clubs, that fund has grown to be thousands of dollars, and they are using that to either buy food for food pantries or buy food for our frontline people, our fire department people, our EMT people, hospital emergency staff, and clubs are delivering that food to hospitals and other frontline responders. And that's an easy way for clubs to stay engaged right now. There's an exciting thing coming up, and I'll talk about it now, called Volunteer Surge. There's a group called Global Impact, and you're going to be hearing more about this in the days to come. I've been working with them for about a week. They've been engaged with our RI staff. It's an effort that just started 2 weeks ago, this project called Volunteer Surge. And the goal is to mobilize 1 million volunteers in the next 2 to 3 weeks. 1 million volunteers. Because the question I get asked most is, what can we do? What can we do? Volunteer Surge is a partnership with CNN, the New York Times, Amazon, Salesforce. I'm blanking on some of the other, LinkedIn. And what they needed was a way to get into communities. And what they recognized was, that's where Rotary is. Rotary is in our communities. They contacted me because they wanted to be in New York. New York is a hot spot in this country. I mean, really a hot spot. And we have 3 governors in the New York area who I'm dealing with now. And we're going to deploy Volunteer Surge so that Rotarians can register and be a part of it. But also those clubs can go into their community and say, hey, if you want to help, you can come through our conduit and be a part of Volunteer Surge. The American Red Cross is part of it. They will provide a 10-hour online module and a 30-hour online module. The 30-line online module will allow someone to be a certified nurse assistant. And they could be out into our front lines. They could be helping out in health departments, in hospitals, in nursing homes, and in many other places. Workforce, another one of our partners, will deploy them. Once you're certified, they'll know where the openings are, and they'll deploy you in your area. The 10-hour module would be good for many of us who maybe are in a high-risk category and maybe can't be out on the front lines, but the 10-hour module will allow you to work from your home. And you might be working for a hospital, returning phone calls. You might be following up on people who have had COVID-19 testing. You might be working with a doctor's office to do follow-up phone calls for them. So it's called Volunteer Surge. My understanding is that it will be as relevant in Canada as it is in the US. We're hoping to go live with the website this Wednesday. And I'm hoping on our Thursday night call, Tracey, that we can talk more about that. But that's a real way for us to not only help ourselves, but help Global Impact and Volunteer Surge to mobilize 1 million volunteers in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Jeffrey, this is huge because, you know, we have a lot of questions being asked around what we can do, and you've just articulated so well something that is being pulled together really quickly that we can all jump on board and be part of. And I'm excited for us to share more. And once you have that information, I'll ensure to share with our district as well, our leadership team and all of our presidents and clubs, because we're anxious. Many of us are in remote communities or in areas that we're immobilized right now. We would desire to do more and mobilize. So this is something that I can see will work extremely well and will have great support from our district. The other piece that I've also been having some conversation with our youth groups, and they're excited. Oh, there it is. I love it. Love it.
That's our flow chart, by the way. People way smarter than me developed this, but you can see a lot of our partners. And there's a default right at the beginning where people will access Volunteer Surge. And then if you need training, you'll go and take the course. As a retired physical therapist, I could bypass the training and go right down into work market and Salesforce to be deployed if I wanted to. But that's a big part of every part of my day now is working with staff. Amanda and Tom Corvesting in the strategy division and John Cuco to see if we can figure all this out and be a part of this. I'm sorry.
No, that's huge. And we have a very large population of young leaders that are looking for ways to be involved too as well. So I can see the opportunity of engaging our young leaders and our young members in this too as well. So absolutely tremendous. Really cool. I'm already seeing Connie made a comment on the side as well in the chat. Sounds really cool. So as we're going forward now, Jeffrey, what should we be careful of?
I think the most important thing is to be careful to not let your clubs go dark. I can't tell you a couple of weeks ago how many clubs I heard from, and the message from the president was, due to the COVID-19 virus pandemic, we're canceling all meetings until April 30th. Thank you very much. Well, no, don't do that, because on May 1, you won't have a club. So what we've been encouraging people to do is to not let clubs go dark. And so my focus for the last 3 months, and in fact, I can even narrow that down for you, for the last 3 months of my term as director is to keep the lights on in Rotary, to drive connectivity down into clubs across North America, and especially in our 2 zones. And Tracey, just in case you're interested, we have 2 months, 23 days, 23 hours, 23 minutes, and 58 seconds left in our term as director and governor.
Yes.
And somebody wow, my kids put that on my phone, and it's not there because I'm looking forward to it being over. It's there to remind me of how much work we have to do. before midnight on June 30th. Quick segue. Many people have said to me, what are you going to do on June 30th? I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to be on a beach at midnight on 30th of June. And I'm going to call my successor, Valerie Waver, and I'm going to congratulate her. And then I'm going to have a shot or a drink of some adult beverage. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know it's not going to be the only shot I have. And I may not leave that beach that entire night. And what I'll be toasting is all of you. What I'll be toasting is everything that you all have accomplished in my 2 years as a director. I'll be toasting and appreciating all of the people that have worked so hard with me. I have been privileged to be a part of the leadership team of Zones 24, soon to be 28, and 32 for the past 2 years. That's what I'll be toasting. And then I'm going to take a breath on July 1, and probably an Alka-Seltzer and maybe some Gatorade and whatever else that ails me that day. But Holger Connect asked me several weeks back in Evanston in his condominium one night having a glass of wine, if I would chair the communications committee, one of the standing committees of Rotary International, on July 1. And I told him I would need a couple of days to think about that. I did my due diligence and I accepted that position. The communications committee deals with our website, our marketing, our image, our awareness, all of our publications, both from the Rotarian to all of our regional magazines, our branding, our marketing. It's a hugely important committee. And plus it has non-Rotarians on it. Some of the top people in marketing, branding, public relations from corporate America and North America on that committee. So that's what's going to keep me busy after July 1, partly, is chairing the communications committee for RI. And I'm just tickled to have that assignment because I'm already in conversation with our tremendous comms team in Evanston about some new wrinkles I'd like to bring to that committee. So there's that. The last thing I'll mention is the Shaping Rotary's Future Committee. At our first board meeting in July of 18 under Barry Rassin, we asked the question, if you invented Rotary today, would it look like it does now? So I'm going to stop for a minute and I'm going to ask you to either shake your head up and down if you think it would look exactly like it does today, or shake your head back and forth if you think it wouldn't look like. If we invented Rotary today, would it look like it does now? You tell me. Somebody's shaking their head side to side, which is a maybe, I think. Categorically from around the boardroom, and no matter where I've gone to speak, the answer to that question typically is no. And so the next logical question is, then what would it look like? And out of that conversation came the Shaping Rotary's Future Committee. And we've been meeting now for 18 months. And we started with a whiteboard, 4 different work groups from around the world. And we started with the club. We didn't start from Evanston and work down. We started from the club and worked up. And not just clubs, not just breakfast, lunch, and dinner clubs, but all of our participants, no matter how they access us. What do we need to do to support them? And then how should that support come? Should it be pushed from Evanston? Should it be pulled from the club? Where should it come from? What should our governance look like? What should our hierarchy look like? What should our structure look like? We came up with 4 different models, all similar, and we took the best of each and we presented those to the board in October. And we asked the board for a green light to move forward, and they gave it to us. So what we're trying to design is the structure, the governance, and the hierarchy of the Rotary of the next 2 to 3 to 4 decades. Because the structure we have now was designed in the 1950s. And if I wanted to talk to Tracey back then, I either had to pick up the phone, not a cell phone, and call her or send her a letter. Times have changed. And witness this, there are newer and better ways for us to communicate. So we're trying to design a structure, a manner and a level of governance and a hierarchy that's more suited for today's world and that is scalable. Because I'm going to tell you that our 1.2 million members are probably supported okay by our current structure, but what if we had 3 million members or 4 or 5 million participants? Our current structure would collapse under this current methodology that we use now. So that's exciting. The work of that committee will continue. It's been a privilege to have a voice in that committee. We were due to present to the board again in April, but that needs to be an in-person presentation. It can't be online. So that's been delayed until June or maybe October. But we're looking now to put the financial impact of that onto that model. We think it's less expensive to run. We want to test that out. And then we will do pilots around the world and test out that new model and tweak it, with the end goal being in the next 2 to 5 years to reinvent the structure, the model, the hierarchy, the governance, to deliver better support to you, to our participants. That's the goal. And I will tell you, we have something in Evanston, we call it the Great Frozen Middle. We have so many tools, so many resources, so many great staff in Evanston. And yet when I go out into the Rotary world and I'm standing in front of a group of 500 Rotarians, and I ask them to raise their hand if they've ever been on the Learning Center at Rotary.org, maybe only 1/3 of the audience raises their hand. And if I say, if your club has gone on to Rotary.org to the Brand Center and made a customized brochure for your club from the template that we've made available to you so that you can distribute it throughout your community, how many people have done that? 20% of the people raise their hand. Well, what's wrong with that picture? Why is it that we have all of these great resources and yet you, the grassroots Rotarians, are not knowing about that? Where's that message getting stuck? Is it getting stuck at the coordinator level, at the governor level, at the president level, at the AG level? I don't know. I just know it's getting stuck too many times. And so we need to find ways to get more support directly to you so that your clubs and our participants have the best tools and resources available to them to do the work that you need to do in our community and around the world. So that's the Shaping Rotary's Future Committee. It's exciting. We're trying to rock the boat. We're not trying to capsize the ship. And if we do, then I'll become a Kiwanian and see if I can become a district governor in the Kiwanis organization.
I don't have any worries there for you, Jeffrey. I know your leadership, and you lead with dedication, passion, and commitment and care. So I can't see you may rock the boat a little bit, which what we need to do. We're all doing that right now, so that's a good sign. But I say thank you to you. Both of those committees that you've just recognized, from the Future Building the Future of Rotary and also the Communications Committee, are key because things have changed. As you alluded, and life is different than what it was when Rotary was formed, or back to the 50s, 60s, 70s. We're communicating today like this. I didn't imagine we'd be doing this, 3 years from now, having all of these meetings to this level at this time. So I say to you, thank you for that, and don't stop. And you're going to see myself and other governors and other Rotarians continue to push you along and help you to do this too as well. One of the things that...
Trace, hold on. Let me just add something. And Jim, you can't be taking a phone call while we're on this call. And if you're running, you have to put it on speakerphone so we can all be in on it. Here's the fact. I've had the privilege of being in Rotary for 42 years. Fortunately for me, when I was 27, my partner in my physical therapy office asked me to join. I'm a second-generation Rotarian. My dad was a president of his club in New England. Somebody asked me once what I've gotten from the organization, and we don't even have time in this call and another call to go through all of the the value that I've gotten out of the organization, way more than I've ever put into it. The scales are like this: what I've given to Rotary in time, talent, and treasures, and what I've gotten out of Rotary. Here's the unfortunate thing. In too many cases today, in clubs around the Rotary world, the value proposition that we propose, service, fellowship, networking, community development, leadership development, in too many cases, it's false advertising. It's not what we're delivering. There are too many clubs where people walk in the front door expecting the value proposition that they see advertised on pop-up banners. And within a very short time, they walk out the back door because that's not what we're delivering. We've got to stop with the false advertising. We've got to deliver to our participants the value proposition that we propose. That leads me right into Toastmasters. How many of you, just raise your hand if you know about our new partnership with Toastmasters? Raise your hand. The board signed a memorandum of understanding last fall with Toastmasters. Many of you know of Toastmasters for public speaking or communication. What most don't know is that Toastmasters has a very robust leadership development online course. Especially younger people, Rotaractors, and younger members of our community, we know from our surveys that that's what they want, is leadership development. So this MOU with Toastmasters, we are co-branding online modules in communications and leadership development. And we are going to roll those out this fall to the Rotaract community first, tweak it, and then roll it out to the Rotary world. We need to do more of those kinds of partnerships. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. The beauty of Toastmasters is they have 382,000 plus or minus members worldwide. Their demographic is mostly younger and mostly female. Their average length of membership is 2 years because it's goal-oriented. People join, they get what they want, and they leave. What they acknowledge that they miss and don't have is a service avenue. We've got service. We're going to take from them communications and leadership development. We're going to give to them an avenue for service in their communities. They're in 100 regions and countries around the world. We think it's a win-win. We think that there are many Rotarians that will take advantage of Toastmasters. We think that there are a lot of people in Toastmasters who after 2 years will see the value of Rotary and maybe join us. We need to do more of those partnerships, and we're looking at more now. All right, I'll shut up.
No, this is awesome because you also got some conversation going on the chat, if you'll notice too as well. One of our members here, Danny, is a past international director of Toastmasters and has already offered to help to assist at our district level. So this conversation is really important. So Jeffrey, thank you for that. I just want to back up a second. You talked about the learning and development area of the website. And there was a question that came up from Kathy Jenkins on the chat. And it's a perfect time to talk about it. As we all know, the assembly, our spring assembly had to be canceled. We cannot meet face-to-face. But what we have done at the district level is we have copied Drew Kessler's whole program of online learning. Thanks to Rotary, we share everything and anything. And we have already instituted utilizing a lot of those online platforms and from the Learning and Development Center. So back to Kathy's questions, we are going online. It actually starts tomorrow, or Wednesday, pardon me. So Wednesday is our very first session with our presidents and our president-elects and the secretary. So we recognize the importance of the tools that are there, Jeffrey. We're using them. And we're engaging our district and our leadership teams to get on board and to participate in all of those sessions. So we're starting to move that forward already. As you can see, there's a great program that's been set up. I'm just going to put the plug for the newsletter in because all the details are in the district newsletter. So if you have not seen that district newsletter, grab that. Okay,
Tracey,
so I just had to do my
on the website front page too.
perfect, awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, Donna. So I'm just recognizing now on the timer where we are. We have exactly 7 minutes left in our hour meeting. Now, Jeffrey, you've covered a lot. You've hit on a lot of topics here. Now, my question to everyone is there anything else you want to ask Jeffrey? And if you do, let's put it in the chat. And Jim, do you have any questions that you can bring forward for Jeffrey and or myself?
And while you're doing that, I saw one, I saw one that said, why are you canceling the April board meeting? And I want to make sure everybody's clear about that. We're not canceling the April board meeting. It will be virtual. It will be on a platform called Kudo. What we have done is take the report from the Shaping Rotary's Future Committee and moved it because Barry Rassin, who's the chair of that committee, and some of the other members of that committee, we just don't think that we can do justice to that presentation online. We think that we need to be there in person to give that presentation to the board. So the board meeting has not been canceled. It will be virtual. And oh, by the way, there's a group right now in Evanston taking a look at the viability of a virtual convention. So we may not be in Hawaii, but we're looking at maybe some way to have an international convention virtually filmed to follow on that.
Awesome. Jim, I do see a question there. Do you have that?
Yeah, I've got one from Graham Gilchrist. He would like to ask you about the impact on polio with a major shift to the COVID-19 virus.
Great question. It's another one of the emails. You can't believe how many suggestions I get from around the Rotary world, and especially zones 24 and 32. People must stay up at night and think, I think this would be a great idea. With all due respect to many of the emails I get, many of them are just horrible ideas. Like, what were you thinking? But one of the questions I've gotten or suggestions is, why don't we take all of the money that we now raise for polio and divert it to COVID-19? No. These are two different battles, two different wars. And we need to continue our efforts with polio while we deal with this other menace right now, which is COVID-19. You know that the trustees of the foundation met virtually, the executive committee, and loosened up the criteria for district and global grants to allow districts to access $25,000 in foundation money for COVID-19 purposes, which didn't meet the criteria prior to that. We have to fight both battles. We have to continue our efforts with polio. This pandemic is extraordinary, unprecedented. We have to fight both battles. And in fact, it's the polio infrastructure in many countries that's allowing them, with that, that resource that we've developed, to fight this virus. So both have to be won, two different battles, can't stop either one.
Wonderful, thank you. And I see a comment on the chat that says we are too close with polio to let it get a hold again. We need to do this. So very much, our focus is strong to go forward. Jim, do we have any other questions there before we get ready to sign off?
Yeah, there's one from Stan in Lloydminster, and he's asking about the fact that many of us have lost a major fundraiser. Please speak to other creative fundraising efforts in these times, because he believes that we need to be in a position to continue to support communities.
Yeah, what I've seen is a lot of online raffles, and I don't even know if raffles are legal everywhere. I'm not sure who's going to be looking at that right now, but I just got one the other day. You know, buy X number of tickets and be eligible for this, but half of the money goes to the club. Online type raffles, online auctions, where people can't do a live auction for our traditional live and silent auction type things. So even if you Google online fundraising, you'll probably see some ideas there about how people can raise money online. I've seen GoFundMe, whatever they're called, GoFundMe sites, where clubs are reaching out into their community with a GoFundMe position saying, you know, give to our club foundation because then we're going to do this or we're going to support that. So whether it's a platform like GoFundMe or whether it's other online platforms for raffles, online 50-50 raffles, that's kind of what I'm seeing right now.
Wonderful, thank you. There is a question there as well regarding the 2020-2021 Youth Exchange. Just reporting again to everyone, our board is meeting tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and from the board level, we'll be providing an update to all the presidents in regards to 2020-2021 exchange. Carla, you've just also noted as well that licensing platforms, again, making sure we work through if it's provincial in Alberta, Alberta Gaming, and or if you're in another territory or province, please ensure that you're following all of the gaming guidelines based on your provincial guidelines. So, Jeffrey, I thank you. Thank you for coming on board today. Wow, I've got pages of notes and I saw many others writing lots down. We've had some great interaction on our chat line. As we close today, do you have any last minute thoughts you wish to share with these beautiful, beautiful Rotarians that are with us?
Yeah, a couple. Number one, it's a privilege to be a part of your team. That's number one. It is never lost on me what a rare opportunity this is to be a director. It's never a position I aspired to. It's an opportunity that in any of our zones only comes around. The window only opens once every 4 years. I am honored and privileged to be a director on your board and to represent all of you and all of the Rotary world. I want to give a shout out to Hans Granholm. Hans is in the center of my screen. I'm not sure where he is on your screen, but talk about communication. Hans is my go-to person. Hans is the one who sends out all of the emails that come from me to all of the participants, all of our newsletters, our zone newsletter, which by the way, I take very little credit for. All I do is write a column every month. Our Ariane Carrier, our editor, puts together what is the best zone newsletter in the Rotary world. And that's just not my biased opinion. That's from people who get it around the world and say, oh my, why doesn't my zone do this? Well, it's because you don't have an editor as good as we do. And you don't have someone as good as Hans who can then take it and distribute it every first of every month. So thank you, Hans, for all that you do for us. It's just been, I mean, I am blessed to have people like you, and I'm blessed to be on a team with people like you. So thank you for all that you do. We appreciate you. Stay connected, stay engaged, stay healthy, keep your families healthy, stay engaged with your communities, and thank you for all that you do.
And Jeffrey, thank you. Thank you for all you do for us. I know I can send you a text or an email day or night, and you respond openly with passion and dedication to help to ensure that we're all strong and doing the best we can. I appreciate your leadership and I appreciate your care. You took me, and so as we go forward, know we are all supporting you and also very grateful for what you are doing. And anything that we as a district can do to support you, not only are you supporting us, but we are there to support you too as well. So in closing, I want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone. And as you leave today, and many of you have heard this from me in the past, go forward with kindness. Show your care for yourself. Look after yourself, look after your family. Show your care and your kindness for your community and those that you surround yourself with. We all need each other, and we need a strong social cohesion. And we're doing more of that today, and I encourage you to do more. Keep kindness in your heart. And when you see judgment, stop the judgment, show you're a Rotarian, and share kindness to help to get all of us through what we're going through. We're going to come out of this amazing. We're going to have a new life, a new norm, and I look forward to where we're going to be in the future. We've got some pretty amazing Rotarians here in our district and also abroad, and we're doing this together. So we're going to sign off for now. Please feel free to connect with me at any time. Many of you have been emailing, calling, talking. Please continue to do so. As you know, I'm there for you. So as we go forward today, the sun is shining here in northern Alberta. I hope it's shining where you are. take a few minutes to enjoy the sun and all the great energy that's there. Thank you, dear friends. Bye-bye.
Hey, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.